Hello, this is Retrospective Bastards, and today we're going to talk about Valheim, the things we liked, the things we didn't like. We're going to start with the things we liked, because there were a few things we got pretty heated about. If you've seen the series, you probably know quite a few topics in that vein that are going to come up. But let's start with something that is undoubtedly good, right? Exploration. Because this game really kind of nailed it.
It really did. Like, I don't know, maybe because it's, like the maps are random, so nothing's ever the same.
You should look at the map as you say this, because, man, exploration is fun, and we did a lot of it. It's got to be said.
And we really didn't even, like, touch the surface. Like, if you look
Yeah,
at what we explored.
We, like, barely touched a Mistlands biome at one point, and there's actually another biome that we haven't been to. Where there's, like, Surtlings everywhere and stuff. At least that's what I found when I was looking stuff up afterwards. I mean, obviously the scenery is very good for a game that kind of has, like, very low graphical requirements. It looks beautiful all the time, always.
Yeah.
I mean, there's giant rocks with trophies on them glowing behind us, kind of helping the point, but just in general, all the little effects, like with the wind blowing by and the movement of the trees, it's just really fantastic. And then it kind of like expands from that, and you get to this point where you're like looking around and you see the meadow and you find the specific buildings and you kind of get used to what you're going to find. But then later, when you're far enough away from this starting area, you can start finding new things in meadows, things that would be like too dangerous, like the Draugr villages and stuff. And that was always like, I don't know, it kept me guessing. It was good.
Well, and I like the different weather too, like weather changes, being out on the seas like during a storm.
I like the way they usually, I mean, depending on the time of day or the weather, you get some different threats. That's kind of teaches you to be wary of things like that. I will say though, if you happen upon the plains early, that's kind of a problem. I almost wish there was I don't know, because like going into the Black Forest, you get an early warning system. Hugin will be like, no, don't do this yet. Go fight Ike there first or something like that. But like, we need like a prompt where the first time you get to the plains, you get like Odin's Spectre shows up and just says no, and like vanishes to like really give you a sense that something is wrong if you're here too early.
Yeah, you can easily get. I mean, you get one shot no matter what, and it's you read about it on the forums and stuff no matter what.
Yes, it's a popular horror story.
Yeah.
People get out a raft and they go looking and they find a plains biome and it's just like, well, that was a bunch of wasted time with very little to no payoff.
The other thing though too is plains kind of looks a little
it looks fine. Yeah. Deathsquitos don't seem like they would be a terribly dangerous opponent, but they're actually, honestly, they're the most punishing unit in the game if you are under equipped.
Yeah.
That's pretty rough. Granted, you have a little bit of room for counterplay because they are very fragile. But more or less, if you're a new player and you wander into a plains and you hear buzzing, you're dead because you can't run from them. They're too fast. Yeah. Especially when your run skill is 2. But I mean, that's a small thing. They do, if I'm looking at the map right now, they do go out of their way to make so that getting to plains early is not easy. Because we didn't see plains until we were, I don't know exactly how far, but we were. I'm just saying, like proximity to the spawn, where the plains are. If you look on the map,
yeah,
it's pretty far away. So it's a minor thing. Combat in this game is pretty great.
I do like the combat. I like the use of bows and stuff. I like the surprise attacks.
Sneak is kind of one of those things where it's almost underloved.
Yeah.
I love the weapon diversity. I mean, I used the dagger the whole game. I shouldn't have. There were a couple places where something would have been better than a dagger for like specific enemies, but I mean,
I feel like if you're gonna min-max that hard...
True, but I want to say, at all times, one of our weapons was always, like, good for the situation.
Yeah.
And then there's generally always a bow option if you're prepared, which is good because like that's the fallback.
The bow is like one of the most powerful weapons. Like it just
easily, yeah. I absolutely love the big enemies in this game, though. Trolls, abominations, golems. They're just like, yeah. I mean, not to do the classic equating, but I mean, it's like fighting something in Dark Souls. There's a pattern to it. It's punishing, but if you're good at it, you can do the whole thing without getting hit a single time. And that feels good. I mean, you could fight an infinite amount of them and just keep going.
I don't know. I don't like golems that much. But
is that a personal thing, or
it might be, because I feel golems are one of the. I mean, it's one of the one enemies that I don't think any weapon type is good against it, except for a pickaxe.
I thought your mace was strong against it. I mean, it wasn't strong against it, but it didn't do reduced damage. Blunt did fall. I will say, while we're talking about things in the weapon slot, I know this is technically a piece of armor, but shield diversity leaves a little to be desired in this game. We fell into every trap along the way.
Yeah.
The standard shield is the best. If you're playing the game right now, the standard shield is the best. Don't bother with the buckler. It's not really strong enough. If you fully upgrade the standard shield, it can also parry. Maybe it makes you a little slower, but honestly, that's just too small. Also, you can take it off. I mean, keep it on your bar. You're not going to have it on all the time anyways. It'll be unequipped every time you switch to your bow anyways. And then, I'll say, in addition to that, I don't know what they could do to make the buckler better. It's actually a little not ideal. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know. I almost kind of think they should take it out of the game.
I feel like I didn't use my tower shield enough.
Also, the tower shield didn't have benefits where I think you'd expect it to. Because I think the first time we got to the plains, right, we found those tar oozes, and it does a streaming attack. And you would think that's the moment where the tower shield shines. And that is where it should shine, is when an enemy does a streaming attack. You should be able to get the tower shield up and hunker down behind it. Just be hard to kill. And it doesn't get that moment.
Nope, and you take reduced movement speed and stuff with the tower shield, so like
it's a little too punishing for what you get. Plus, it's expensive.
Yeah, I think the only tower shield that isn't expensive is the Serpent one, because that's the only thing Serpent skills are used for.
Yeah, it's actually a good assessment. I mean, it's probably expensive to a player who doesn't know how to find sea serpents, though, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's whatever. I will say the one moment tower shields kind of shine is when you're going into a new biome for the first time. If you have a current shield, a current tower shield, and you run into the big enemy, it's usually pretty reliable, right? I think your scale tower shield worked against golem hits from the get-go, as long as it wasn't the overhead.
But the problem is,
yeah, I mean that's pretty good. But like again, you got clapped by tar oozes, and I don't think it worked against like 1-star furling berserkers or fulling berserkers. It's like, come on.
It did for a little bit,
what is it for?
But then it like for enemies that attack too fast, it's useless. It's really not. I wonder if their design of it is weighed more on the parry. So you just pull it out quick and.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. The tower shield should be the not parry, but kind of like reliable, or at least I guess that's how it feels to me.
You should be able to spank and tank with it. You really should.
Yeah, there's a hole in the design there, and I think it's pretty easy to fix, and I don't think it's gonna upset anyone if you have an option for your shield that's a genuine alternative to the standard shield.
Yeah.
That said, I mean, we gotta say, parrying feels great. And the reward is awesome, and it's great because it's a skill-based timing thing. And especially when you're in a group, you got someone who's good at it. But that brings me back to tower shield again.
Good at it.
Well, honestly, you were just fine at it. It's just that you had a tower shield most times, so when you were parrying, you had to do it with just your weapon out. But like, going back to the tower shield, it was kind of weird that you had a different shield, and it almost felt like most of the time the game was punishing you for it.
Yeah. I mean, it was good in certain situations. It's just like big attacks. It's good for.
it wasn't good in enough situations, I guess, is the issue.
No.
Like, it really had a hard time justifying the resource investment.
Yeah.
Like, I'll put it this way. If we did it again, would you do tower shields again, or would you do regular shields?
I would just do regular shields. I wouldn't do
Yeah.
tower shields.
That's a sign that it probably needs a little something.
Yeah.
But, while we're talking about combat, let's talk about boss fights. Because this was... I mean, they were well-balanced, but this was kind of a mixed bag for me.
I feel like regardless it's going to be mixed, because I think the first boss is fine.
Yeah, Ike is great. He's not too punishing, and he's kind of like...
It's one of the bosses where you can rush.
Yeah. If you're good at the combat in this game, and you're coming back for a second round, you don't need to wait for Ike there. You can actually just go fight him right away once you've got flint weapons.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty easy to never get hit by him and fight in melee the whole time. He's like a troll that hits less hard, but has a lot more HP.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Professor Oak, the Elder. I've never even really tried fighting him in melee, because what he does to melee players is such a pain in the ass. It's like, why would you ever engage with that?
And I feel like he's just useless.
Yeah, if he didn't give you the swamp key, he'd probably get skipped.
Oh yeah.
No joke. Granted, his power is fine. There were times we probably should have used it, and it would have saved us time. But I mean, I honestly, I don't really love that we have to spend that much time chopping trees, anyways. But I mean,
he's the only one that gives a resource, right? Like for resource. Yeah, he's the only one that gives that.
I always thought, why not make it affect mining as well? Because if it did, we definitely would have used it. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that would have been so much better. Like if it affected which I mean, okay, they might come out because they're coming out with new biomes and stuff, like with their.
Yeah, there might be a boss later that does it. And at that point, it's fair enough. But
the thing is also, like, they come out with that, he's gonna get skipped. Like I don't want his ability. I wouldn't use his ability.
If I could find a way to get to mining silver early, that's probably what I do in the future. Because honestly, Bone Mass has some scary attacks, but I'm pretty sure you could run at him with bronze, and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Especially once you have poison resistance, and just all of your equipment, the right shield. Be fine. The only issue is you need an iron pickaxe to mine silver. If anyone finds a way around that, I think... I don't know, days are numbered. As far as doing the Elder is concerned, you can skip over the iron tier completely. But again, I mean, for all we just said, I wouldn't really skip him, right? I'd still want to fight him.
No,
whatever.
It's not like he's not.
He's not like a giant pain in the ass on top of it all, but it is weird that boss fight is like, make fire arrows and shoot the boss a lot.
Yeah, and he is actually a pretty easy boss. Just hide behind the pillars and shoot him with your bow constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like that's a hard boss fight. I mean, Bone Mass was pretty straightforward. Like, that's a melee boss.
I love Bone Mass.
Bone Mass is a good boss fight.
He's great. He's throwing ads at you. He's big. He's imposing. He's got some moves that kind of make you respect him, and he's got he's got mechanics where if you're paying attention, you can be like, oh, poison resistance is going to be useful here, and you get to use that to your advantage. Which is something they do. They kind of start teaching you around Bone Mass, is that the bosses are going to have an elemental trick to them.
Which is a good point in the game to where you should start using different meads, different motor though. I don't know. Maybe it was just our fight, but
maybe yeah. She was in the air for a long time, and she's a very strange hitbox when she's in the air. A lot of arrows look like they were going right through her and just not hitting at all. And it's like I kind of understand how there's a server discrepancy or something going on, but it's like, come on, man. It's not a great situation. It was tough and stressful.
It felt like, because I died during it, but it really felt like it was a range fight, when it should have been a mix between the two.
That could have been the like the area our altar
Yeah.
spawned though, because it was weird and restricted a bit. I will say this though, the melee portion of the fight wasn't much better. She had really weird AI when you got in close.
Oh, and I got
Like she could just
stuck.
get stuck. Yeah, like she could get stuck on you, and then you just be like, all right, I'm gonna keep swinging,
Yep.
and it'd be whatever. Like honestly, the whole reason there was a death in that fight for either of us was that you were not affected by my bone mass power. You got pinned in a corner.
Yeah.
I missed you with it, and that was a mistake. But it's like,
That's not. I feel like that was probably the jankiest fight out of all of them.
yeah. Now, if we're gonna talk about later content done well, the Yagluth fight is like crazy.
Yeah.
The meteor storms, the death laser, the pillars in his fight are actually destructible. So like you're losing that cover as time goes on.
I think the only thing
He was imposing. It was great.
it was a really good fight. The only thing that really made me mad about that fight was you digging
Oh
the trench.
yeah, I
got
dug the trench
stuck.
and you fell in it and you got stuck, and that was not amazing. To be fair though, because I did that, you also were able to get right back into the fight. So I think I broke even on that one.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it took us a little bit to get used to his rotations and stuff, but once we hit that, like, and it was a pretty well timed out fight too. Like, I didn't think it took too long. It wasn't too short. Like, once it comes down to it, I mean, you look at
that fight. I was actually going to say just now, that fight is probably horrifying solo.
Probably.
I don't know that the bosses scale to you based on how many players there are.
I don't think so.
And honestly, that makes me a little bit worried because like that could make some of the bosses feel really drawn out. Actually, maybe they're not as much fun, but I mean it's a multiplayer game.
I would not.
Doing them solo is an achievement in and of itself.
Motor.
If you have done it, congratulations, good job.
Oh yeah, I would not want to solo motor.
I'd be fine with soloing motor now after we fought her one, because I did manage to parry her, and that was a big deal. That's a lot of damage.
But I mean, like, if you didn't know that
was when I was confident that regular shields would always be the way to go. Actually, speaking of that, that's actually that was a nice twist for the Yagluth fight. He didn't have a melee attack.
Yeah.
It was all abilities. You could not parry him, which I thought was kind of cool. Actually, it was a nice twist. It was like, you came with this tactic prepared, but like you actually just don't get the opportunity, and that's okay, right? It's probably frustrating for some people, but that is okay. You have other opportunities against him. Specifically, again, kind of like the Elder, is that fighting at range is very viable.
Yeah. It's going to take a little bit longer, but it is.
Okay, let's get away from bosses for a moment. Or maybe we should talk about powers yet, because we talked about the Elder's power. Eikthyre's power obviously is top tier, and good on the devs for giving it to you first.
Yeah, Eikthyre's is. I ran it mostly the whole game.
Bone Mass's power also fantastic.
Yep.
Probably good timing on that, although. I mean, I'm gonna try to remember this when we get to another topic. Motor's power was weird. Motor's power is great, like indisputably. It's like Eikthyre's power if you have to do a lot of sailing. Yeah, it's fantastic. The problem is, it really did feel like the game was actively trying to turn the wind against us.
Yeah, and then once we did have it, we didn't have an issue with the wind.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if that's
the
thing,
and I didn't have to use it.
It could be we were just unlucky, right? I'm not saying that's not the case, but man, were we unlucky for a lot of the game.
Yeah.
As for Yagluth's power, I don't know how useful that is. It's definitely in the same vein as Bone Masses. It would be really great for fighting Yagluth again.
I feel probably it's going to be used in the future.
Yeah, considering one of the future biomes is like all Surtlings, it could definitely be powerful there. So, I mean, I'm assuming it's going to be fine. It'll have its uses for sure.
I'm sure, like, the Elder's power it's good, but it's just not.
I think it needs to do more. It needs to be a little more diversified, right?
And how many times am I going to use it? I'm not going to use it that much. Like, I didn't use it at all. And we built a decent house.
I'll say, what might be a better use for the Elder's power? Is, how Eikthyr cuts down your stamina drain for running and jumping? How about cut down my stamina drain for chopping trees, mining, and, like, building and doing terraforming? That'd be pretty good. We'd throw that on when we were building then, because it does suck when you're building a house and suddenly your stamina's empty and you're like, oh, now I have to stand here for 3 seconds and just wait.
Or you're sitting there harvesting resources and you're like, okay. Because, I mean, even when you're at 100 plus stamina, chopping down a tree uses almost a whole bar.
To be fair, I don't think we ever left bronze axes.
No, we didn't.
But we'll probably talk about resource demands in this game later, because you don't want to do that if you don't have to. At least unless you're planning to live in the game for a while. But I mean, Valheim's fun, but I don't want to live here all the time. That's a time commitment, and some people do it and they like it, and I'm very happy for them. But I bet they kind of wish some of the grinds weren't as hard. Or maybe they want them to be longer, who knows.
Yeah. So
I just wanted to say, for all the time that it took us, I kind of love the way the trader is done. About 99%. There's a little bit more information I wish they would give us. Maybe, I don't know, some way of telling the player they need to be far enough away. Because I believe there is something that tells you they're in the Black Forest, but I'm actually not 100% on that either.
I feel like Hugin could...
Maybe he does. I mean...
Maybe he does, we didn't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Because there is, I mean... I like it in the sense that it makes you explore. Like it...
Yeah.
You can't be... I mean, realistically in this game, you can't be an island dweller anyways, so it's...
I love that there are really tangible rewards for finding it too. You get fish from fishing, mostly. You can actually get fish just like finding them a little bit. Actually, this is a random tangent, but man, I kind of wish I could harpoon fish. What's that all about, man?
Yeah.
Why can't? Okay, what? That's not a point.
You should be able to though.
I do want to say the 1% that I don't like is the obliterator or whatever it's called. How you need items from the trader to make that. Please give us a low-tech version that gives us nothing for destroying an item. Alright, give me the fine wood garbage can. Or we can just ditch stuff that we really don't need into it, because man... I would have loved to be able to get rid of Trollhide a few times, you know?
Yeah, technically we could just take it out into the ocean and ditch it, but...
That's a lot of work.
I feel like more people would use the trash can, though, than the obliterator.
Yeah. I mean, we never even made the obliterator. By that point, we were just so used to it. We just said whatever. It's like, yeah. I mean, it's kind of expensive. And it's cool that it gives you coal, but, man, that's not...
Yeah, even in that point, we were on our third house, so we left a lot of just junk.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, again, I love the trader. Frostner and the Iron Sledge are two of the coolest weapons in the game, and you need to find them to get them. And we did, and we had them, and we used them, and they were fantastic.
Yeah, I've never had Frostner, and I love that. I don't like that it knocks back constantly, though.
You know, actually, while we're on the topic of the trader, what I want is a second trader that shows up in an even later biome that sells better stuff. Because I just really like the way it made me explore. I mean, you look at the map,
yeah.
Especially on your screen, you can see all the areas that are gray that you didn't go to. I went a long way. I searched.
Yeah. I mean, especially northward.
Yeah, that was before I learned that it has to be a certain distance from the center stones. And for those of you who don't know, The trader is not in one place in the world. He is after you find him, but before that, he can be in 10 different places. And he has to be, I think it's like 2,000 some unit from the center. I don't know, it's pretty far. You can see how far ours was, and that's probably a relatively close one, all things considered. I was really surprised when I found him there. But yeah, I like the trader.
I don't know how they measure it in the game, how much a unit is or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think it might have been meters or something, but it's hard to use a game's measuring system without anything to base it on. Like, how long is this table? How tall are our characters, etc. We don't know.
Yeah.
Regardless, for everything I liked about the trader, though, there's something I hated about wolves, which is a terrible segue, but man, am I excited to talk about how much I hate about wolves. It's cool that you can tame them, and they have great, very valuable drops. But, I think it was you who said that towards the end of the game, you run into a few situations where it almost feels like the devs got lazy, and things lack polish.
Yeah.
And the wolves are a good example of that. I had a misconception earlier that the wolves didn't have a wind-up to their attack animation, but they do. However, it's all front-loaded, like you can only see it on their face, which is a problem in a third-person game, because I cannot see their face when they're close enough to attack me. They have to do something, like maybe with the tail, to give me an indication that he's going in for a hit. Otherwise, I mean, it's really cool that you can tame them. I think I already said that, but
why you would? I mean, yeah, wolves they attack too fast, and like especially I remember
you can't finesse them. I think that's one of the other things. I think that's a universal sentiment. Is it's really weird.
Well,
that you can like finesse every other enemy in the game, and then wolves show up, and it's like no.
I think the problem is like I was using tower shield, so I would block. And your stamina would get ate up so fast, but
yeah, because they attack too fast.
Yeah, they continue attacking way too fast, and they just kill you. So it's really.
Additionally, I wish I had gotten this recorded so people could have seen it. If you roll away from a wolf in a straight line, and your roll is perfectly timed, they will still hit you. It's actually horrifying. You have to roll left or right when they're chasing you, which is really inconvenient and kind of creates that gear check situation where if there's more than one, there's no amount of rolling that will save you. I think the only time I ever managed to juke wolves was by like running to the edge of a cliff, doing a jump, and then ducking back and landing back as they ran off. And that was incredibly difficult and would have killed me if I failed. And it's just... Oh, this was in the Black Forest, too. They followed me that far. Because you can't actually get away from them. It's almost like the Desquito problem. Running into them early is a terrible death sentence for a new player, and even an experienced player in that situation will probably be screwed. But, I mean, yeah, it needs a little bit of polish.
Yeah, but I mean, like, well, look at... So, you talked about taming, like, really, why... I don't even see why we would tame wolves, because we skipped over, like, we went through.
Yeah, it is a lot of time investment for it.
It is.
Honestly, I'm willing to bet. Yeah, I'm willing to bet taming boars is worth it, because we're still using boar meat for things. And if we had a farm of boars, that would probably make life pretty easy, and it would not be that hard to keep them fed. I don't know how much meat you get from slaughtering your own raised boars, but if it's a decent amount, then yeah, that's definitely worth it.
Yeah, but I don't think, like, taming wolves, we didn't use, I mean, we use a lot of wolf hide, but I don't think it would ever, unless you wanted...
It wouldn't have been faster to tame them. There's no way. I think I saw someone had done a pacifist playthrough of the game, which is a wonderful idea. Yeah. Not anything I want to do, but I mean, certainly cool. And it's like, okay, yeah, that guy probably really appreciates that wolves are tameable, but I mean, outside of that, I don't know what the point of it is. I know they're a little more obedient than most other tames, and actually, it's probably good to talk about taming in general real quick, because we tamed a lox early on, and that was it. If you don't have a saddle, you can't actually make the lox go anywhere.
Yep.
So it wandered off, and we almost lost it. And that's another one of those things where it's kind of like, why? Why is that like that? Why can't I tell them to follow me?
I feel like they should pull like an arc where you can whistle or you can do something to course,
or let
course
us
it with food, something.
What's that green stuff from the swamp?
Guk.
Yeah, guck. Let us take leather scraps and guck and make a lead. How about that?
Anything. I mean, just regular leather scraps. Like, it's really not.
It's just it's a little weird that it's cumbersome that way. Speaking of cumbersome, let's talk about farming. I can say a lot about the later stages of farming, but you're the one who's an expert on the earlier stuff. How was that?
Dude, it sucks. Like, everything constantly gets destroyed because I mean, you have to have it perfectly fenced off. Otherwise, Grey Dwarves are going to just destroy it. It really is. Maybe I messed up in the beginning, whatever. But it was constant. Turnips got destroyed, carrots got destroyed, onions got like, it was always getting destroyed.
Even outside of that, though, things take a long time to grow.
Oh, and then you gotta replant them for seeds.
Yeah, you can't just replant them, you have to replant them for seeds. And that's an important distinction, because later in the game you don't have to do that. And it's great, actually. Farming is a lot of fun in that stage, even though we have to contend with things like foalings and wild locks and tar oozes and desquitos. It's like, yeah, okay. Because the actual act of farming is something you do every once in a while, not something you plan your entire play time around.
Oh, and I feel like they could... Like, you could legit... You can make it really simple with just an easy move. Just let it grow out to seedlings.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't have to replant it for seedlings. You can just let it grow out.
But there's two other things, actually, to farming I want to talk about. I'll let you finish your point. I'm just getting that in now.
Well, I mean, it would just be so easy. Like, who cares? Oh, well, I forgot about my seedling, or I forgot about my vegetables. They're gonna go to seed now, and then I can just replant them. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And I don't know, we made it through with not a lot of that food that we could use.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about, because bread is a really fantastic food. The stuff before that, it's not really that great. I'm pretty sure there's always better stuff you can get that's much easier to acquire.
Yeah.
And it's usually better as well. It's really oddly balanced, the early farming life in this game.
Well, and I feel like we missed out. Like, we should have been planting carrots, planting turnip, whatever. Like, you should probably do that as you go throughout the biomes, but we didn't, and obviously we were fine. It's not...
But we did miss out on some stuff, because even stuff that doesn't require crops, the more advanced cooking stations still need those vegetables.
Yep.
That's really weird. It's kind of annoying that we didn't have sausages for a long time, because we didn't pick up a turnip, I guess.
But you also needed obsidian for it, I thought, too. I thought we didn't get it till we got to the mountain.
Yeah, you did need that as well, but...
So you still wouldn't be able to get the upgrade till you got to the mountain.
Hold on. Did we need obsidian for it? We can check right here. We've got hammers. Butcher's table. No. It's actually just silver.
So you still have to go to the mountain for it.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
So
the spice rack is what I'm thinking of. You need turnips for the spice rack.
Okay, so the spice rack we wouldn't be able to get till the swamp. But then you gotta plant the turnips, you gotta do all that, and... I don't know, maybe...
But we unlocked sausages after the first cauldron improvement. So spice rack would have been enough. So yeah, again, we didn't have sausages as early as we should have, because we didn't plant turnips, and that's really weird. I don't know, man. I don't know that it should be like that.
Either that, or you should be able to find like carrots and stuff out in the wild.
Honestly, I think that would be better. But like, I think it's an issue of we didn't really have a way of knowing. It's just like the game gives you seeds, and there's a cultivator, and they just kind of expect you to put it together. And discovery's good. I guess it's fine. I don't know. I think that's a little weird.
No, I didn't like. I really don't like the upgrades because they're specifically timed out throughout the game. I don't like that.
I would have Why not show us the spice rack when we pick up thistle? And that lets us know we need carrots and turnips.
You gotta pick up the whole thing, man.
Exactly. It's like you have to find all of the stuff individually before you can make the spice rack. How about when you pick up thistle for the first time in the Black Forest? It shows you that you can make a spice rack, and you're like,
really,
oh, I need carrots and I need turnips. Where do I even get turnips from? But at least you know.
Yeah, but I also think it would be solved by like being able to harvest. So you'd be able to find carrots in the Black Forest, and then you'd be able to find turnips.
Oh yeah, I would love for them to completely remove early farming that way, or maybe not remove, but streamline.
I feel farming should be like one of those side things. If you do it, you're rewarded for it. If you don't do it,
yeah,
you're missing out, but it's not that big of a deal.
Well, to be fair, the way you're describing it is kind of how it works later in the game.
Yeah,
where you don't have seeds. You just plant what you have. And if it were like that the whole way through, honestly I think it'd be a huge improvement. Yeah. Just undeniably, yeah. If you just found whole carrots, and then when you wanted more carrots, you would plant the carrot instead of eating it, instead of having to seed the carrot to get more seeds, to grow more carrots.
Yeah,
I don't know why there needs to be so many steps, especially early in the game when it's like, man, all of your friends are in the plains. You're not going to spend time growing turnips.
No, we didn't do any of it. And I mean, well, I tried, but
yeah,
I failed.
I mean, it's the eternal problem of the game is that it demands so much time investment for every little thing.
And I really feel like just farming got just overlooked by Home and Hearth.
Yeah, you'd think Hearth and Home would like have gone in and overhauled everything to be like the later farming, and instead they just kind of left it how it was. And I feel like they had assets made for the old system, and they were like, let's just keep it that way. It'll be fine. No one will care. We cared. Kind of wish it wasn't like that.
Or you should be able to, like when you plant, actually have like a grid system instead of, oh, this plant is too close. Oh, it's this. It's like then implement something so the plants aren't too close.
It would be really nice if the cultivator, like when you hit a piece of land, it made a piece of land that you would plant one crop in.
Yeah.
So you could have that peace of mind with your space efficiency.
I mean,
it's fine though. I mean, it does kind of have like an organic, old-timey look the way they do it.
Yeah.
But how about don't let us put those crops too close together?
Yeah.
Whatever. These are nitpicks. The game's great. But we are going to talk about the nitpicks, because obviously the game is not finished, so now's the time for feedback.
Yeah.
And while we're nitpicking, let's talk about the most resource-intensive tier in the game. Iron. You harvest a lot of iron in Valheim, let me tell you. And that's fine, because you need iron for a lot, but first thing I want to say is, why is all the iron in the game scrap?
Right.
I don't know the quality of the iron we're getting, but I feel like it's not good.
It's
like we're running around in pig iron. It's weird to me.
It's just so, I mean, but it's easy to get. Like that's the
yeah,
thing.
It is easy to get. Sunken crypts are great. Come out and say it. Sunken crypts are good. We've had to do a lot of them, and I've never really hated them. Also, it's great. Between bronze and silver, it's great that the resource gathering is really just kind of varied up that way. That's incredibly good, game development decisions going on there.
Bronze sucks.
Yeah, bronze... I think we were going to talk about this later, but it's fine to talk about it now. Bronze kind of blindsides you if you're new to the game. You don't need to upgrade a lot. You really don't.
You really
especially
don't
in the bronze tier.
Period. You don't have to upgrade your iron armor. You don't gotta upgrade your silver. Like you don't. I mean, maybe if you were solo.
If you're solo, yes. You probably do. But also, if you're solo and you do as much as we did, you have twice as many resources for one person.
Yeah.
So it's probably easier to upgrade. But even that aside, you don't need it for the bronze tier. Bronze tier, you need your tools, because that's like where the baseline stuff comes in, and not the pickaxe. Do not make the bronze pickaxe. No. I will slap you. Alright? I'm talking to you right now. If you ever make a bronze pickaxe, I will slap you. We did that the first time we played. It's wrong. If you hear better, alright, if someone tells you not to do it, do not do it. It is a waste of resources. You already have to make your axe. And then you have to make your goddamn 600 fermenters to make all your mead later in the game.
Yep.
You need to make a cultivator, because apparently you need that for the spice rack or some shit like that.
Gosh, probably.
And maybe you're making a weapon. And a shield, actually. The shield is probably one of the better things we overlooked. Just a proper bronze shield. That might make the Elder a melee viable fight. You get in there, when the roots fall, you get a good parry off, and you get a ton of damage in.
Maybe. We haven't done it, so...
Regardless, yeah, bronze, it's the noob trap. To make the armor and upgrade it is a huge time investment, and at that point, you don't know how long the game's going to be. And it's a long one, and maybe if you're watching this, you've forgotten. When you first start the game, running around the Black Forest with a cart, mining up huge copper and tin veins, well, not huge copper and tin veins, huge copper veins, and then if you're lucky, you have lots of tin. It's actually very possible to end up with a Black Forest that does not have a lot of tin in it, and that's a huge pain in the ass in and of itself.
If you can get lucky, just get an employee of the month, and he will mine all the copper you need.
Honestly, man, actually, okay, I'm retracting my bronze pickaxe statement. If you skip the first boss, because you're doing like a no-boss run, get a troll, have him smack up the tin, smack up the copper, employee of the month style, and then make a bronze pick and skip over the antler. And that's great. Cool. You did something novel.
Yep. Really?
But yeah, it's very time consuming, and I just I feel like
don't waste it.
Yeah, don't waste it, because you have so many things you need to make with bronze. There's the forge improvements, and there's a lot of them, and it's like if you make the armor too and upgrade it, you are investing probably another 6 hours of your time into that.
Yeah,
it's not great.
We did it our first playthrough. I mean, our first one, it just wasn't worth it, because as soon as you get to iron, it's so fast.
Yeah, it's better. And it's fast, comparatively.
Yes.
But iron is a chocolate-covered bastard with bastard filling.
It's just like deer hide.
You need so much of it.
Yep.
Because you actually do need iron armor. When you get to the mountain, you need iron armor. You can have root armor, and it's not completely awful, especially if you have bone mass power to kind of get you through. But wolves don't care that you're good at fighting. Wolves have their own set of rules, and if you're not in iron armor, you have zero room for error. And even if you're in iron armor, you kind of still don't have much room for error. It's a tough situation, and the forge upgrades are expensive. And then even after all of that, it's like insane to say. But no. Even after all of that, you go to padded after silver, and you need more iron. And man, I kind of wish it was just black metal.
About, like, just why? Like, they're just gonna have a ton of iron laying around because they did every crypt in the whole world. Like, you're not.
We had so much black metal. Just let us make it out of black metal. How about that? So there is no black metal armor, actually, which is kind of silly to think about.
You might, I mean, who knows? I don't know what their timeline is or what they're coming out with. You might have to use that for maybe the new stuff, and you have to...
Yeah, no, obviously that's a possibility, but padded armor felt weird. It was almost like they decided the new armor tier would be farmable with linen, and then for whatever reason someone said, hey, isn't it weird that the next armor tier is cloth, and it's better than silver? And they were like, oh, we should add something in. Or something. I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened.
It would make sense if it was like silver and iron.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
so
combine the two.
The real issue, is you are in full silver armor, probably with a black metal weapon, and now you are going back to sunken crypts in the swamp.
Yeah. It doesn't take long.
Again, please respect the player's time a little bit on this one. All right, at least have us doing something interesting. Or, I don't know, I think I had the idea of why not just have iron ore veins in the plains?
Yeah. Or you could find it in the plains or something. I mean, really, I think they're basing it a lot on exploration. Like, because if we had a normal swamp, because we had a lot of crypts in our swamp, if we had a normal swamp, we probably would, like, we'd have to go explore for a new swamp. And granted, that our first two swamps didn't have anything in it, which, by the way, that does not feel good. No.
That is not a great situation.
There should at least be one.
I kind of get it. Like, I mean, world generation is janky, and that's something that can be fixed later. Especially when I'm sure they're planning to add more biomes, but I don't know. Maybe they're not. Maybe Mistlands and whatever the Surtlings come from are the last two biomes.
Maybe
they're just not finished. Who knows? But yeah, I would. I think bugged swamps are kind of a known thing. My brother's world had one. And I was there with him, and I didn't know about them at the time, and we probably searched. We probably wasted an hour running through this swamp. We were like, oh, there's really just nothing here, and we had to go find the new one. Because, like, the ocean cut through the middle of it or something.
Yeah, I really feel for that. Like, wasting the player's time and just...
This game does a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And, like, I get it, because it's a game where you want to spend your time. But it really kind of blurs the line on what's appropriate.
Now, I will be, because it is a little biased, because this is our second playthrough or whatever. The first time,
yeah, but
I thought everything
we felt
was amazing. And I would get mad, but I don't think I'd be as mad now.
I was pretty frustrated after we got to Iron for the first time, and it was like all duty. But even more than that, actually, this is a pretty good segue for this, is that root armor didn't exist back there when we first played. And I want to say all of the armor sets that you get from farming from enemies are fantastic. I love the hell out of that.
Add more.
I'm kind of sad we played when we did, because the Fenris armor is out now, and like it makes you faster. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And you can like make a new claw weapon, and it gives you bonuses with that, and some other bonuses that are really interesting that I don't really want to spoil. And it's like, man, that is a cool set of equipment. That would have been great, and I probably would have worn it instead of silver. And I just, more of that. That's really great. Honestly, I
have options. Like, having options is going to be better anyways.
You know what I do want to say? I think padded armor and the way it's done would be better received if there was more content like that. Stuff where one of the items to get was kind of easy, the way linen is, once you realize you can farm linen.
Yeah.
And then also, you have to go back to old biomes and do a little bit of farming on the side for it. That would be cool if it came up multiple times in the game.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. I mean,
especially if there was something better than it, right? Because like bronze, iron, silver, they're all very time intensive. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna finish this. They're all very time intensive, but they're the highest armor value, right? That's how you become the tank. And then you have troll, root, Fenris, and it's like they're the low end. They don't slow you down. They're quick. You're agile, and a middling maybe would actually be very nice, because they could do, I don't know, like studded armor, I guess, in the first tier, next to bronze and troll or something like that. It'd just be nice to have like another middle of the road option that's like, I guess the best way to describe it is it wouldn't be terribly time intensive, and it'd be kind of safe. And if you were the type of person who was slow rolling it, you could get after it. And I feel like that would be the formula that padded falls around. There should just be like black metal armor that you maybe you need to get an item from Berserkers. It's not a terribly common drop, kind of like Drake trophies, that allows you to make the really good black metal armor. You got to do a lot of fighting, but that's it. It's black metal.
Yeah.
That was a long-winded way of saying, I don't know, more game, please.
Right. I really wish, Hearth and Home, that took a while for them to come out with, and
to be fair, all the changes in Hearth and Home were good.
Yeah.
Like, when we came back, I don't think there's anything I, missed. Although, maybe, I don't remember how we unlocked sausages before. But it did take us a while to find them again. Yeah, I can't remember exactly. I thought we just learned them when we picked up entrails for the first time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it was all really good. There was a lot of new food added, and I think that's all great. I think that's the issue. The food is actually one of the better systems in the game right now, as far as a breadth of content and rewards for exploration. And I kind of wish there was more of that for equipment. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's a little bit, to be fair.
I can't believe a lot of people were mad because it's their first big content update, and that's what they did to overhaul food.
I mean, yeah.
And food wasn't that big of an issue in the first place, so
no. And like on top of that, it was the food overhaul, and they didn't like overhaul farming in the earlier tiers of the game. It's a little weird.
They need to do some. They really do need to do something about that.
Yeah, that's. Let's talk about something that has literally nothing wrong with it. I'm of course talking about the ocean. The ocean is the best part of the game because it has no flaws.
It is.
It's big, it's wide, it's terrible. Crossing it is kind of daunting in all the ways you'd expect. Leviathans are just this incredible surprise that give you, well, I like the Abyssal Razor because I like using the knives in this game, but the Harpoon is like incredibly useful in a few very niche locations, and not having it would have made life very awkward in a few places. So it's just wonderful to have. Sea Serpents are one of the most fun enemies in the game to fight, and it really isn't until you get needle arrows that they become easy. They're always kind of a little bit menacing. If you're ever alone, you're like, ooh, do I want to fight it and chance the boat? Because if you lose your boat in the middle of the ocean, that's a bad time. And what's more, if you lose your boat in the middle of the ocean, unless it's been changed, the stuff sinks, and you never get the resources for that back again. So it's like, there's a risk. It's scary. And yeah, just generally, the equipment, this is a good example of it. I like equipment you get that's kind of in an out-of-the-way place. So I like all the stuff that you need the trader for. I like the abyssal stuff. And I love that sea serpent shield. It's cool that you kind of have to go a little bit out of the way to find it. And it's a real challenge to fight the stuff that drops it when you get it like at the earliest possible moment.
Yeah. I love the ocean. I think they could do a little bit more with like maybe different sea serpents, different enemies out there.
I'd like deep sea fishing. Something I literally just thought of right now.
That would be
give us cool fish to find while we're fishing way out in the water. And maybe while you're fishing for them, you can spawn a new enemy when you catch them. Just like a random chance. A new hazard.
That'd be nice. I mean, yeah, I don't have any issues with the ocean.
It's just good.
It is. It really is.
We just want more. We want more ocean. Give us enemy pirate ships, ghost pirate ships. I know that's not terribly Viking, but like just give us stuff to find out there and fight.
It probably would be more fun like on a PvP server because people would be having to do boat battles and stuff like that.
Oh, can you imagine on a PvP server out on a boat battle and you harpoon someone on the other boat and you yank them into the water?
That'd be awesome.
It'd be crazy. PvP is something I'd probably like to check out at some point. I don't know how it works in the game, but I see wards exist and you have to opt into it, so I'm sure the system is okay.
Yeah.
Can't really speak on it personally. I don't think we're going to talk much about PvP because we just don't know how it works.
No, and I don't... Yeah, I have no idea, so I don't want to go commenting on it.
Here's something we do know a lot about. Death mechanics.
Man, there's a reason...
I was worried about bringing this up.
Dude, there is an exact reason why when this game came out, there was a group of guys, it was Valheim body recovery system.
I think they're still around.
Okay, dude, they're
still doing it.
Crazy. That's insane.
I know.
That
I know people think it's cool community building. No, you look like crazy people. All right. We are shipping the straight jackets to your house right now. You don't get to choose. They're being put on, and you're being thrown in a padded cell for like a week until you've been away from the game long enough.
Dude, good on them. I mean, it's...
Oh, no, good on the people who do it. I'm saying the people who think that that's like an enticing part of the game. No, reading on the forums
in the game, and then
yeah,
like I shouldn't have to carry around portal supplies. I shouldn't have to do a lot of that stuff.
Honestly, the portal supplies thing doesn't bother me. That's kind of the part where it was like we got smacked around for it a little bit, but like, I mean, yeah, going somewhere new and being prepared is part of the game. Being prepared and dying anyway, and then like being in the plains and taking 6 hours to find your body, that's not good. That happened to people. That's a real thing.
Yeah, and I mean,
again,
it's
respect people's time, please.
Dude, and it's nuts that like you just, I mean, look at the mountain. I died up there because if you were doing it solo, you'd be screwed.
Oh God, yeah. But I actually had a really good idea for this, and I doubt the devs are ever going to see this. But give us an item we can make, probably around swamp tier. Maybe it comes from the ocean, because again, more stuff in the ocean, please. Where I don't know, it'd be like a thing you build in your base, a totem or something, and you use it, and you get to designate 1, 2, 3. I don't know how you would decide amount of items to keep on death, so that when you die, you wake up with, I don't know, at least a piece of armor or 2 pieces of armor, and getting your stuff back is somewhat reasonable. Because later in the game, it's actually a resource drain to die, because you still have to food up, even though things will hit you for like 100 points of damage. That's why you have to food up.
Leave the game if I had to constantly do that for a while. Like, I just feel like I'm done with this game.
Why? I mean, maybe we're like that because we played World of Warcraft for a long time, so we're very good at walking away from a game, even if we've invested a lot of time into it. That's just how it works.
Yeah,
and that's probably why we're big on requesting the game respect our time a little more. But the system in Valheim is rough, and it's compounded by the fact that you have this health system tied to the quality of your food. And if you run through all of your food and don't get your stuff back, right? You run through all your troll hide and all your backup sets of troll armor and stuff because you died in the plains, and it's really far away. Like, even through your portal. It's like, what do you do now? What do you go from there? Do you call the Discord?
Just gotta restart.
Great. Basically restart. You have to go make new armor.
Yeah, that's the only big punishing thing about this game, is that if you would say
that's not a compliment.
No.
I know games being punishing can be fun. This is not one of those situations.
No, I don't want to remake all my stuff. I mean, so it's up some people's alleys, like, oh yeah, death is just gonna be okay, I'll just remake all my stuff. Like, no, man, I don't want to sit there and farm all them resources. I don't want to.
I'm gonna say it again. I think my idea for having, I guess this would be upgradable too, but like a way to keep items on death and have that ability grow as you level up to match the demands of the content in the game would be really good.
Yeah, I hate death in this game. And then, I mean, if you have, for some reason, like, say you pick up items or something, and then you go to loot your corpse, and your inventory's full, because you just...
Yeah, that happened to me once.
Yep.
And that's not good,
hate
man.
That.
Give us an overflow or something. And I'm gonna say it, because I believe in the most recent patch, they updated the corpse mechanics a little bit, and, like, you get a carry weight bonus now to account for people who had Meganord. And, like, cool. But I feel like you've missed the forest for a half-dead tree that's strewn across the path. Like, not even the trees, just like an insignificant detail in the grand scheme of things. That's just... this kind of brings me to the final point I had written down for us to talk about is progression, because progression in the game is really good.
I love the progression system.
But it's like you progress. Yep. There should not be a regression system in the game where you can get up so far up shit creek that everything you've done no longer means anything. That's not a good system. That's a terrible, terrible ass backwards, pants on head system. And I apologize to people with mental disabilities. But, it also means stunted, and that's kind of how I meant it, not in a way that to demean someone with things beyond their control.
I mean, it does come back to it, though. Just respect the player's time.
Yeah. And special mention while we're talking about progression. The Yagluth boss location, apparently it's a bit infamous. We ran into this as well. If you look at our map, we ran through a few planes trying to find the spawn. And then we got very lucky and actually sailed to a new island and actually found the spawn, which was a great moment. I loved that. It does take a while to find. That's not a problem. It's actually not, because, again, it's the end of the game right now. And if they make it more common going forward, when they add new content, perfect. Completely understandable. I have zero complaints. But if they're going to keep it like this, that's kind of a...
It's kind of like again, finding the traitor.
Yeah, it's like, respect the player's time. Come on now.
Yeah. Like, there should be one of those little altar thingies, at least at some of the Stonehenges, or anything. I mean, just...
I'd say at any given Stonehenge. Because those things aren't particularly common. I think in all the time we were searching, we found 2. And then,
because we found...
Or I don't know, put one in a tower, or maybe in one layout of village. Again, it's not a big issue right now. It's just once they add the next tier, please make that a little easier to find.
Yeah.
For the love of God.
I don't want to be spending 4 hours looking for a tablet.
I think we actually spent more than 4 hours looking. If you combine the time each one of us searched,
we did
individually, it was more than 4 hours, and that's a pretty big deal because you got to think again from the sole player's perspective. You are already probably fully upgrading your equipment, and you have half the manpower to do it. That's rough, dude. That's pretty tough.
Yeah, no thanks.
No thanks indeed. Do we have anything else to say?
I mean, honestly, Valheim's
fantastic game. Yeah, I'll say that.
Like, I'd recommend it.
I had more fun than frustration, and that's pretty severe because I mean it took many hours to beat, and there were a fair amount of hours of frustration, but they were completely eclipsed by the good times.
Like, we might play a game different than you guys, so it's. I mean,
yeah, it is just our opinion at the end of the day.
Yeah. Like, this is how we play video games. This is how we, do certain things to, like, we validate our time, and I don't want to be sitting here looking for a boss arena for 4 or 5 hours out of my day.
To be fair, though, I mean, we know what a dial-up modem is. We're not exactly inexperienced when it comes to video games. We've got
yeah.
We've got a few hours under our belt, going back at least decades.
But it is still, like...
I think our opinion has some value to it, hopefully. I'm sure there's some people who share our frustrations. Well, I can't say I'm sure, because I know. I've seen the forum posts. We did a little bit of research on this.
Yeah. But no, highly recommend this game. I hope they keep coming out with updates for it.
Yeah, I want to come back to this. Like, I want to back up the server and everything. And I want to come back, and I want to go to the Mistlands and wherever those Surtlings come from, and I want to... I mean, anyone who's seen the Marvel movies with Thor knows who Surtur is. I'm kind of hoping that's the big finale. That'd be great, man.
That would be.
That is a famous villain from Norse mythology. But we're wrapping up, right?
Yep.
I think that's all there is to say. Excellent.
That's my table.
I made this table.
Oh, you can damage it while I'm in there. Man.
This was Retrospective Bastards, and I didn't really think of a rating system. Valheim's good. Play it.
It is.
It's a good time. You're gonna enjoy it.
No scream for you.